no sitting. We are devoting the entire week to welcoming the outside world to the National Assembly, to the House of Representatives, not just to interrogate what we do, visit our offices, move around the assembly, ask questions of any legislator you find, and have answers to those issues that may have been bothering you. So I want to, on behalf of Mr. Speaker, the leadership of the House, welcome you all to the second NAS Open Week, and hope that you will stay with us, not just at this location, but when we go to other venues for other items on the agenda, so that we can really listen. Our job as legislators today is not to lead any motion or move any bill. It is to listen to the guests that are here. Whatever it is, on any issue, raise it with us. We have the capacity and the willingness and the readiness to give you answers to those questions. So without taking much of your time, welcome. We thank you for leaving your respective duties and places of work and rest this morning to be with us. May God reward you and ensure that you go back peacefully at the end of the program. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome to the NAS Open Week.
Thank you very much, the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, welcoming us all to the second edition of the People's House, the House of Representatives Open Week. Let me at this juncture recognize the man who led this chamber for 4 good years and left unblemished today to occupying the office of the Chief of Staff to the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'd like you to please join me in welcoming His Excellency, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, CFR. Please a round of applause to welcome him. We're also privileged to be joined by the only woman that's ever occupied the exalted office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. I'd like you to please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Right Honorable Patricia Olubomiete, CFR, please. Thank you very much. I have the very great privilege of announcing that very shortly the Chairman and President of the Senate, who chairs the National Assembly, will also be joining us very shortly. I have that on good authority. When he comes, we will recognize him. But in the interim, Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, want to move on to taking the goodwill messages. I want to start by inviting the representative of civil societies who also leads the plaque that has been very supportive of the activities of the National Assembly. I'd like to invite the Executive Director, plaque, Mr. Clement Nwankwo, Esquire, to please lead the plaque with the goodwill messages. Please can we welcome him with a very resounding applause, please. Mr. Clement Nwankwo, sir. For him.
Thank you. The Right Honorable Speaker, the Majority Leader, Honorable Leaders of the House who are here, the esteemed Clerk of the House of Representatives and Committee Clerks, and of course we do have former speakers who are here, Your Excellencies, invited guests, my colleagues from civil society. I am very grateful for the opportunity to speak at this Open Week, which is a forum expressly designed to deepen transparency, invite scrutiny and strengthen the bond between Parliament and the people that it serves. And I must commend the leadership of the National Assembly for this initiative running in its second year, for opening up the National Assembly to invited guests, civil society leaders, and Nigerians to share this unique occasion. National development is a shared mandate for Nigerians. At first glance, the mandate of civil society organizations and the House of Representatives may appear distinct. One exercises constitutional lawmaking power, the other wields civic voice and community presence. Yet both of us, the National Assembly and civil society, are anchored to the same constitutional promise. The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. That is what unites us. Whether a civil society organization is running literacy classes in Zamfara, or monitoring public procurement in Cross River, or litigating for the rights of the urban poor in Nigeria, its ultimate metric of success is identical to yours. Measurable improvement in people's lives. We walk on parallel tracks towards the same destination, which is of course the only logical course to travel together. But we also walk on similar tracks to deliver collaboration, growth and development, as evident from the work of several civil society organizations, including PLAC, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, in the work that it does with the National Assembly, with on electoral reforms, with the judiciary, and various arms of government. We do owe a historic debt in this country to civil society organizations. Nigeria's return to civilian rule in 1999 did not materialize from a vacuum or from benevolent fiat. It was chiseled out of granite of authoritarian resistance by an alliance of labor unions, professional associations, human rights organizations, students' movements, women's collective, faith leaders, and right-based organizations. Whether it is the work that was done by the Campaign for Democracy, or the Civil Liberties Organization, or the Constitutional Rights Project, Transition Monitoring Group, all of these organizations were able to chisel out our present democracy from authoritarian dictatorship. And we are proud as civil society for the work that we have done. If the Fourth Republic is a house, civil society laid many of the bricks. History therefore entrusts the National Assembly and CSOs with a perpetual partnership. And that partnership has a clause that says, never again shall a civic space that rescued democracy be allowed to shrink. There are reasons for us to collaborate. One of it is the development challenge that the country faces and the role that civil society can bring about to push back on some of these challenges and help us to emerge stronger as a country. There is of course a natural division of labor between CSOs and the House of Representatives or the National Assembly. It is that shared division of labor that brings us to be able to work on issues of policy, budget, oversight, and collaboration generally. As civil society organizations, it is imperative for us to call on the National Assembly to help to protect civic space, to protect the work that NGOs are doing, which is what gave rise to this present democracy. Honorable members, Mr. Speaker, leaders of this House, the partnership that we share together cannot flourish under a cloud of suspicion. Over the past decade, several bills have surfaced in the House of Representatives that what can divide us, which is what these bills that seek to shrink civil space would create. And I'll cite a few of those bills, whether it's the NGO Regulatory Commission bill, or the social media bills, or the proposal to criminalize so-called protests, or expand anti-terror standard. The regulatory instinct must never overshoot constitutional guarantees. Section 39, which is freedom of expression, Section 40, which is freedom of association, and Article 13 of the African Charter collectively set a high bar for permissible limitations. I therefore respectfully urge this Honorable House to purge itself of the reflex to shrink civic space and instead adopt a presumption in favor of openness, which is what this open week obviously indicates, and for which we commend the Speaker, the leadership of the National Assembly, and members for this initiative. Where abuses exist, please target behavior, not existence. Regulate actions, not voices. There are several ways that we can collaborate, and one of them is, of course, this forum, which is the Open Week Forum, for which we commend the House. The open legislation pipeline, that means that from first reading to conclusion, we must ask ourselves whether any bill at all proposed before this House respects the importance of human rights. So the criteria of measuring bills to ensure that they comply with respect for human rights is so very important. The House has instituted processes to ensure that budgets are participatory. We encourage this to continue. It must also be measured whether any action in the National Assembly, or indeed even in the executives represented in this fort, one or more slots by committees in oversight activities would help to enhance credibility and data triangulation. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, every era of Nigerian history poses a singular question to its leaders. For the military era, it was simply, will you restore civilian rule? Our answer is driven by civic courage. The answer was yes. The present question, Mr. Speaker, is more subtle yet equally momentous. Will you restore a democracy bold enough to welcome its critics and agile enough to partner with them? If we answer yes again, Parliament or legislature and civil society shoulder to shoulder, the dividends will speak for themselves. Schools that teach, hospitals that heal, jobs that dignify, elections that count, and a national narrative that unites rather than divides. Let us move from suspicion to synergy, from perfunctory consultations to co-creation, and from piecemeal gestures to institutionalized partnership. The Nigerian people's hopes and the hopes of every citizen which feel, right, honorable members, honorable colleagues who are here, the diplomatic community, long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I'd like to plead with subsequent speakers to please do us the honor of resting on the already established protocol. And Secretary, Political and Economic Affairs, Office of the Secretary to Government of the Federation, representing the Secretary to Government of the Federation, Senator Dr. George Akume, CON. Please let's welcome him with a round of applause. We welcome you. We also want to recognize the presence of Antonia Adley, representing the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo. We welcome you. The National President, National Council of Women Societies, Nigeria, Princess Edna Didi Azura, is here with quite a good number of our women. Please let's welcome them with a round of applause as well. The Speaker and Chief Convener of his second edition of the Citizens Open Week, craving on your indulgence and to also please tarry with us a while, we lost a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, the late Right Honorable Agunwa Nekwe, who led this Green Chamber from the 5th of December 1992 to November 17th, 1993, and during the Third Republic. And please, in his honor, we have been directed to please observe a 1-minute silence in his honor. May we please rise as we observe a 1-minute silence and pray for the repose of the late Right Honorable Agunwa Nekwe. 1 minute silence, please. soul of Right Honorable Agungwa Anekwe, of blessed memory, rest in peace, and of course other faithfuls departed through the mercy of Almighty Allah. May they continue to rest in peace as we pray for Allah to grant them Al-Jannah Firdausi, and may they rest in peace. Amen. Please be seated. Your Excellency, the Speaker House of Representatives, our chief hosts, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I at this juncture ask if we have the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs with us or her representative. But if she is not, would like to move on very quickly. Is here standing in for the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, and she doubles as a Director General. Dr. Veleta, please.
The Right Honorable Speaker of this hallowed chamber, and also the Chief Convener of this event, my brother, Dr. Abbas, opportunity to be in these hallowed chambers in the 8th Assembly. I'm here to represent my Honorable Minister, Honorable Ima Suleiman, FSI, who is unavoidably absent to represent her. So I'm here to present her speech. It is a pleasure to be here today to witness and celebrate yet another milestone in the evolution of Nigeria's democratic culture, Dr. Tajuddin Abbas, dialogue and inclusive engagement. This occasion is particularly significant for us at the federal, in the Senate, and 17 in the House of Representatives. At the state level, just 48 out of 991 state legislators passage of the reserved seat bill for women. This proposal offers a constitutional mechanism to gradually correct historical imbalance by creating time-bound additional seats for women at both national and state levels. It is not intended to undermine merit, but to expand access, enhance the thoughtful leadership of the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, for championing this cause with clarity and purpose. Alongside other progressive members of the National Assembly, the Deputy Speaker has demonstrated a deep understanding of what inclusive representation of support around this bill. Nigeria has the opportunity to join other African democracies. On the continent, we have both the obligation and the opportunity to lead by example. Gender-related priorities. By many measures, this assembly has shown itself to be the most gender-sensitive in Nigeria's recent democratic history. This effort will be remembered towards inclusive governance is not let this open week renew.
The Honorable Minister, Women Affairs, Honorable Hajia Iman Suleiman Ibrahim FSI, speaking through the Director General National Center for Women Development, a former member House of Representative, Dr. Asabe Veleta Bashir. I'd like to welcome you. Thank you so very much. I'd like to make this quick announcement. The microphones in front of you are very sensitive, and in the light of that, I would like that you please keep your hands off the on and on button and at all times, except you are called to speak. Permit me to recognize at this point the Chairman Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures, who doubles as the Speaker of your State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Adebo Ogundoyin. Leading other speakers, Right Honorable Aribasoye Adeoye, Speaker Ekiti State, and Right Honorable Somto Ochukwu Udeze, Speaker Anambra State. Please let's welcome all of them with a round of applause. Your Excellency, moving on with the goodwill messages, it is now my very singular honor to invite a man who also was a member of this great chambers for 3 consecutive terms, and today sits as the Executive Secretary, National Assembly Library Trust and Resource Center. I'd like to please join me in welcoming Honorable Henry Nwawuba for his goodwill.
And please stand on the existing protocol.
Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON, EL Zazau. As announced, permit me to adopt the well-established protocol, save for the fact that I crave your indulgence to specially recognize my brother and my friend, the Right Honorable, the immediate past Speaker to the House of Representatives, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Your Excellency, sir, you can see that the women are well mobilized to today's, it's like we're already in the panel session where we talk about the special seats bill. Your Excellency, it is with a sense of nostalgia, a sense of pride, elation that I stand here to speak once more in this hallowed chamber that I had the privilege to be a member of in the 8th and the 9th Assembly, to congratulate the 10th House of Representatives for talking and doing. Agenda 6 of your legislative agenda talks about openness, inclusion. We have done that. This House has passed over 2,000 bills in this time frame, unprecedented. Your Excellency, sir, you continue to commit. You had the dialogue with stakeholders. You had the dialogue, the parley with your media. The National Assembly Library will never stop to support. The next 3 days, show National Assembly, and I hope and pray that not just the members of the 10th House, but indeed the stake, and to get deeper in hoping that we will all engage in the panel discussions that will be coming up over the next 3 days. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd also want to recognize and single him out for recognition, having mentioned that the majority leader of the House of Representatives is also here, the majority leader. Please, a warm round of applause for him. Yielding the floor to the head of the European Union delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, I'd like to, at this juncture, therefore, invite His Excellency Ambassador Greater Minot. Please, a warm round of applause for him for his goodwill. 3 minutes, please keep protocol.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, allow me to stand on existing protocols. And thank you for all member states acknowledge the areas. And I'm sure that this Open Week 2025 will feed and boost your agendas with citizens and civil society's input. And you have crucial items on this agenda. And first, I would like to echo the words of the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs just a minute ago. This legislature has the opportunity to make history by adopting the reserve seat bills for women and to boost Nigeria's sustainable development, reinforcing women's political participation, not only recognizing their rights, but also boosting the development of the country for the benefit of all men and women equally. I would like also to stress the importance of electoral reforms to consolidate the resilience of the electoral system and the trust of stakeholders and citizens in it. And we will have later this year an electoral follow-up mission with experts from the European Union to exchange on this with the National Assembly. But the support of the European Union and its member states goes much beyond governance topics. In fact, they are just a small part of a partnership. As first trade and investment partner of Nigeria, we are rolling out our global gateway investment strategy in priority areas matching your agenda, such as climate smart agriculture, renewable energy, digital and health, with across-the-board priority towards youth and women. And we are also keeping our commitments on humanitarian assistance for people most in need. And as this session will be followed by one on food security, I would like to stress the importance beyond medium-term and long-term solutions which are all quite important, and we are partnering with you on that. Also to address short-term urgent needs now in the lean season. Our humanitarian office, ECHO, is looking at the possibility to provide additional resources, but this is a situation I am sure Nigeria will address, mobilizing sufficient domestic resources to save the many lives at stake, in particular children. And finally, I would like to stress the importance of a relationship between all parliaments, the National Assembly and the European Parliament elected last year until 2029. Deputy, that a reciprocal visit from the European days, and in this fast-changing world, you can count on the European Union as a constant and reliable partner.
We're moving on, but it is pertinent that we also recognize, just as we did to the rest, we must recognize members, Architect Ahmed Musa Engiwa, officers of the House of Representatives that are here seated. We recognize the presence of Right Honorable Dr. Ibrahim Ayo, representatives welcome you. Right Honorable Aliyu Madaki, Deputy Minority Leader, is also here. Round of applause. And Right Honorable George Ozodinobi, Deputy Minority Whip. Please a round of applause for the Deputy Speaker, Niger State House of Assembly is here, standing in for the Speaker. Right Honorable Afiniki Eunice Dauda, the first female presiding officer in Niger State. We welcome you. We also recognize the presence of Honorable Majority Leader, Ekiti State House, the presence of Honorable Chigozie Nwaneri, the Chief Whip of Imo State House of Assembly. Thank you for joining us. Your Excellency, the next goodwill, after listening to the goodwill of the head of the European Union delegation to Nigeria and the ECOWAS, I would like to invite the United Nations resident representative, Elsia Tafwa, ably represented at this event by Mr. Blessed Chirumta, Deputy Resident Representative Operations, UNDP, Nigeria. Please come to the podium for your goodwill. Please skip protocol after the speaker and go ahead with your goodwill for just 3 minutes. Thank you.
Let me start by recognizing the Right Honorable Listing Protocol. It is a singular honor to join you today at the official opening of the people of Nigeria. I do extend our heartfelt appreciation to the leadership of the National Assembly, particularly transparency, inclusion, participation, and accountability, which lie at the heart of effective and trusted governance. The National Assembly, as the People's House, carries the weight. With a dynamic and youthful population of over 70% under the age of 30, Nigeria's future will be shaped by how institutions adapt to the ambitions of this rising generation. A responsive legislature is not optional. It is indeed essential. This is where the Parliamentary Development Program, under the forward-looking leadership of the Speaker of the House, plays a catalytic role. It strengthens legislative capacity, enhances digital transformation, deepens citizens' engagement in development goals. From the e-Parliament portal to open days, town hall dialogues, the targeted legislative efficiency and foster culture a process of openness and inclusion. Still, parliamentarians, a mere 4.2%. We must accelerate efforts to amplify women's voices and ensure that governance in Nigeria is truly representative of all Nigerians. At UNDP, we are honored to walk this journey with you as a committed partner in strengthening institutions, supporting democratic deepening, and advancing inclusive development. Let this week mark not just an opening of doors, but a deepening of trust between the people and their parliament, a renewal of our collective resolve to build Nigeria where governance works for all, transparently, equitably, and sustainably. Thank you. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Yes. Robin Shetu, resident, applause for him. We recognize the presence of Barrister Helen Taiwo Adebaki, President, Southern Women Empowerment Forum, State Assembly, Honorable Maina and Mohammed Gogo Abdullahi Clark, Borno State House of Assembly. We welcome all of you. League of Nigerian Women Voters, thank you for joining us, as well as the very many great citizens of Nigeria. His Excellency Senator George Akume CON, ably represented today's event by Engineer Ndabungu Gojere, Permanent Secretary, Political Economic Affairs, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Please can you come take a few minutes, but if you intend to speak from where you are seated, there is speakers. Okay, you rather come to the podium. Please, in the same vein, I'd like to crave an indulgence to do us the honor.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Sorry, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GC, deliver a goodwill message on behalf of my principal, Senator George Akume, CON. It goes like this. It gives me the Speaker and the Honorable members of the House of Representatives for the remarkable strides and legislative responsiveness that have come to define this 10th Assembly. Today is more than a record of motions, bills, and resolutions. It is democratic governance in our country. This gathering is especially significant as it aligns with the aspirations and pillars of the Renew Hope agenda of President, the effort of one arm alone. Your timely interventions, legislative oversight, and alignment with national priorities have created the enabling environment for the executive to implement meaningful reform across security, economy, education, infrastructure, and social welfare. As the NAS Open Week 2025 is presented today, I urge us all to reflect on how these legislative efforts translate into real impact on the lives of Nigerians. The House has indeed played a critical role in shaping key policies that promote inclusion, transparency, and sustainable development. There is sector, all of which speak to our united mission of national renewal. The executive remains committed to deepen this partnership with the National Assembly. We are convinced that through continued synergy, our various and better positions for global leadership to the insights it will provide and the challenges it poses to us all to raise the bar even higher. To the leadership and members of the House of Representatives, thank you once again for your patriotic service. Be assured that the federal government deeply values your partnership and remains committed to working with you to deliver on the renewed hopes and aspirations of Nigerian people. God bless the National Assembly. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Your Excellency, a former presiding officer of this chamber, the Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, CFR, His Excellency is here with us. I like what you're doing. We welcome you and the host of other dignitaries that have joined us that we're not able to recognize at this point. Kindly bear with us. But then quickly, for the goodwill message, your presence, your consistent support for democratic institutions and citizen engagement continues to inspire both the leadership and the led. Just last week, he hosted citizens. Can we give him a royal body blessing?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Your Excellency, Right Honorable Abbas, Speakers, House of Representatives are here present, principal officers, recognize my ladies and gentlemen, and initially, because I said to myself, I'm not a politician, and this is a chamber, of political leaders. So, and I had to consult others if I was actually the one invited to come and speak. Emirs, Emir of Lafia, and also the Ejunipe, always in this chamber, representing the traditional rulers in this country on the issues of role of traditional rulers. But nevertheless, I felt it is an opportunity and privilege, for me to stand on their behalf, all of us, across the country as traditional leaders, to say a big thank you, to the National Assembly and the members for the terrific work they've been doing, at least in the last few years since they came on board. Well, we appreciate the leadership, compliment, the efforts they're making. And let me also seize this opportunity and liberty, the intervention by, passing the law, recognizing the role of traditional rulers in this country, which cannot be overemphasized. If you trace back, to history, learn in areas of administration, there is no reason why the traditional institution would not be legally recognized in the Nigerian Constitution. So we look forward to the report submitted to the National Assembly, and we hope and pray that you'll graciously consider this, the National Assembly and other leaders that have been contributing positively to the development of this country.
This is the microphone. Can we have yet a befitting round of applause for his role to this event? Please, one round of applause for him to welcome him. Right Honorable Mohammed Oyank, Deputy Speaker, Nasarawa State House, Angara, and of course members of the NYSC. Please, let's give all of them a warm round of applause. Thank you very, very much. May I then invite a human rights activist for excellence, one who also fought for democracy, was incarcerated for many, many years, and today he is not just an author, but a Pan-Africanist. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Senator Shehu Sani as a comrade. Please, a round of applause for him as he comes to the
Other principal officers, distinguished honorable members, distinguished invitees, and give a goodwill address to the open week that has today of this, where Nigerians can see of deepening democracy is provided by this platform of interaction. First of all, by being here reminds me of the history and the spirit that either fulfill it or betray it. It is a fact that every generation, from the leaders and leaders of the First Republic to date, we have seen the drama, the conflicts, and the issues that has shaped Nigeria's politics for generations and for years. The opportunity of being in this house is to make our contribution to our country. What happened in the First Republic, how those parliamentarians of our early years of independence stood up to speak about our country, and to speak will not be here, most of us. But whatever we have done
whatever contribution we have made will be part of Nigeria's history. It is a fact of history that there are 2 or 3 types of legislation. Here is you try to, the platform you provided by this open week gives Nigerians the opportunity to come and see their members, those they elected into office. Because there are people who come here as rich people and live here as poor people. There are people who come here as poor people and live here as poorer people. It's a fact of history. 15 years ago, their condition is pitiable. So you have a duty or the opportunity provided by you, by history, to make a strong impact. It's not the number of bills, not the number of accent of bills, but what impact has such bills made in the lives of ordinary Nigerians. One unique thing about this house is the agility, the energy of its members, and the youthfulness of its members over the years. And you will be able to demonstrate that. And the parliament as a whole is not an extension of the executive. It's not a unit of the executive, and ensuring probity and accountability in the affairs of governance. Without the parliament, we have a tyranny and we have a dictatorship. The parliament has that responsibility and duty to stand for Nigerians, to speak for Nigerians, and to defend the interests of Nigerians. You have seen how many of your colleagues were once here and today were not here. So what impact has your presence here made in the defense of democracy and improving the lives of our people? To the Nigerian public, will give Nigerians a sense and an idea of what is actually in this house. Not just for you who are serving, for those struggling. Many have gone. But what is most important is the legacy they left behind. I feel the spirit and the energy that has become part of the history of this house. And I believe that you will keep the torch of the integrity and the mission of this house has been left behind by your predecessors. I thank you for this opportunity, and God bless.
Comrade Senator Shehu Sani, giving his goodwill, the uncommon President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly, strolled into this hallowed chamber. I'd like us to please welcome, sir. I therefore, at this juncture, resting on the already established protocol, invite the F. Crotty to please deliver his goodwill at this point in time. Papa Nuntius, welcome, Your Excellency. There's a round of applause for him as he makes his way here. I would have asked that you speak from your seat, where he's already making of the People's House, the House of Representatives. Please, one more round of applause for him.
Protocol. I thank you for this opportunity to join representatives gather and bring their needs and their cares to the deliberation in these solemn halls of Nigeria's democracy. It is here you pass your laws. It is here that you dedicate yourselves to forming a society. And so I'd like to thank you again for this initiative of this open week to the people, so that the people may truly appreciate what goes on here. And so I'd like to thank all the members of this House of this National Assembly for the work you do here, and I wish to extend to you the blessings of His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, and wish you very well in all your endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. He has spoken with so much clarity. Wrinkles-free. Visit Dr. Excellency, the President of the Senate, Your Excellency, the Chief Host of this event and convener, the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON. I recognize the presence, with your kind permission, Honorable Ibrahim Kunde Olarewaju, Senior Special Assistant to the President, House of Representatives, which will be holding the open multi-sectoral synergy. The President of the Senate as a chief host, the President of the Senate will be his guest, and the Vice President Odima is equally playing a role as a guest of honor. And this event will continue immediately after now at the National Assembly Library, and to also receive Mr. Speaker, the Vice President, and the President of the Senate respectively. That will be a big message. Let me at this juncture then appreciate all the women group and all persons living with disability led by the President. Would like to recognize Jake Ekwele. Please a round of applause for all of them as they're seated here with us in this hall. I then want to please kindly request that you... I expected that applause from the feminine folk would even be louder.
The President of the Senate, the Speaker, and the President. Let me say it in loud and clear that it is not the first time the legislature, and I believe the members will appreciate the way the Speaker has actually catched out inch to make sure that it brings the people, the citizens that you are representing to the floor of the House. I've been in this House since 1999. This is the first time I'm witnessing this. And I know that the members should seize the opportunity and go back to their various constituencies and ensure that they start engaging their constituents so that it will make it easier for them to penetrate and to continue to come back to the House. Let me tell you, no one is based in Abuja as a legislator. Where you belong is where the citizens are, and that is your constituency. So I believe you will all do that. I remember when I was the leader of the Southwest of this House, and when they gave my members cars in those days, I was shocked when I saw all the members. They went and screened their cars. And I was wondering, I started wondering, and I asked them, I said, what the hell are you people think you are doing? They said, leader, we don't want them to see us. I said, you don't want them to see you? Are you not going to back again to go and seek for the re-election? You are covering your cars with screens so that they will not know you are the one passing. Let me give you just 48 hours to go and remove all that. There's no way you can operate without being a very good representative. And that is what Mr. Speaker is trying to achieve. I know that democracy is for the people, by the people, and for the people. Therefore, we must join together to ensure that we elected officers, we in the executive section come together for proper work to be done so that those people who put us front will continue to respect us and will appreciate that there's transparency and responsiveness in whatever we are doing. But if you sit back in Abuja without informing your constituency, without letting them know why you are here, you don't feed them back at home, it's going to be extremely difficult to come back to this house. That I can assure you. So I believe you should appreciate your speaker together with his team for them to put this particular opportunity together for you to reunite. I've presided over the house of this house, and I know what it means, and I know what it takes to preside in the House of Reps. Unlike the Senate, that they are just 109. For you to reach out to 360 people to buy into your ideas and to believe in you, you must be very, very good. Have gotten in this house. Your speaker is the best. I'm not going to hide my feelings. I say it the way it is because we are trying to make history. History is being made today. And this is a very good platform to start. 2 years is gone. You have 2 years to go. The first 2 years, I don't want to start going into that, but we all know that the remaining 2 years there's a fire on the mountain. So that is why this platform given to us today is very germane, and that is why we must appreciate all our speaker and the leaders have for giving you this opportunity to create awareness, to wake you up that you have work to do. And I pray that God Almighty will assist each and every one of you. This house will continue to flourish under the leadership of our able speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I wish you the very best. Thank you.
Can we give another round of applause? Majority Leader of the House, Honorable Halims Abdullahi, we welcome you. We also recognize the National President's Nigerian Youth Organization, NYO, Muhammadu Buhari Bugema. We welcome you. I also want to announce that the House Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria has an exhibition on national malaria elimination today at the National Assembly Library. The key highlight is a demonstration of the use of all malaria partners and members of the committee led by Honorable Amobio, the presence of Network of Women with Disability, led by their president, Lois Auta. Can we please welcome Lois Auta? Thank you very much, and especially with unwavering dedication to democratic ideals, the Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, CFR, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, and the pioneer chairman of the National Credit Guarantee Company Limited of Nigeria. Please let's welcome His Excellency the Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara with a round of applause for his goodwill at this auspicious occasion. Your Excellency, Honorable Yakubu Dogara, sir.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, my colleagues, leaders, Her Excellency Bear Miller, former Speaker and now Chief of Staff to the President. Distinguished colleagues, leaders, so sorry, I should have recognized you, the leaders of the House who have invited us for this event today. Royal fathers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Most of the speakers before that people take place. It is also here in this hall. So sorry, Senate President, I don't mean to mock the Senate. I'm just saying what is obvious. It is also here in a historically first effort started this year, and I believe it has always been the house of the people. But I must say this, which of course is true, that at no time in the history of the legislature, especially the House of Representatives, have we had the doors to our chambers thrown open to the public. Never. So this also is a historically first step. And it demonstrates one thing, the willingness of the leadership and the membership of the National Assembly to tell Nigerians that we are ready for the work you've assigned to us. And one of the work of Parliament is to hold, I believe it is only leaders or the leadership that is committed to integrity that would do this. I have said before that it's not enough. And on account of the cries, motions that have been adopted here, it has moved the executive into taking actions that are historically first, especially this present administration. I remember the leader of the House, as his then was, the Right Honorable Femi, brought this issue of student loan. Apparently, we began work. Unfortunately, it didn't see the light of the day. But I'm happy in the four corners of the university. They are studying, thereby ensuring the future of this country, investing in our people. Democracy is promise of democracy is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've had the rights, political rights, individual rights. It's a bit stuffy. Until recently, the president decided to, in a major response, establish the National Credit Guarantee Company, which is supposed to empower entrepreneurs, innovators, and democracy deliver. Because I don't want to take your time. There are so many other things that I can say. But let me say one thing that borders to a particular party as a danger to our democracy. But what I see more of a danger is the gripes, the bluster that comes out of right. I believe to them. How this House will define the political terrain depends largely on you. There's freedom of speech, but speech only when it is free speech that is protected in a democracy. Hate speech is not. So I enjoin upon you to look at that. Here in the House we fight. They are all witnesses, members. But as soon as we leave this place, outside there, we're throwing banters, we're rejoicing, which is something through our public engagement or engagement with the citizen, we can sell this spirit that permeates fundamentals of our life, that we are connected beyond just who we support. And what should unite us should be the interests of our people, the interests of Nigeria. Although our allegiances to individuals may differ, we should always be united in pursuit of the common interests of our people. Everything should be about Nigerians. So I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, and your leadership. I want to thank all honorable members who have availed themselves here for deciding that it is not enough for you to operate here alone, but you must always have a decent, a rational conversation with the people. And as we dialogue with the people, I owe you to pay attention, because dialogue is not about what it is said. It is about what it is not said. You will learn a lot. And in learning, you will make sure that your legislative priority.
When you see former presiding officers in this chamber, it is very nostalgic for them. I'd like that we celebrate them again with another round of applause, please. May I therefore, Your Excellencies, resting on the already established protocol, with great pride and deep respect, recognize a distinguished statesman, a man and a master of parliamentary diplomacy, a committed servant of the Nigerian people, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, CFR, former Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chief of Staff to the President of 1999. Please, another resounding applause for His Excellency as he takes the stage. Your Excellency, sir.
The Senate President, the Right Honorable Speaker, the leadership of the House and the National Assembly as a whole, my very distinguished on the growth of the House of Representatives since 1999. No, there's a saying that once a speaker, always a speaker. So sometimes we don't want to be limited to time. So allow me to, or permit me to seize this moment to speak on a subject very dear to my heart. But before I go further, and without taking anything away from the 10th, the best assembly so far, in the 9th Assembly, under my speakership and under my sponsorship. It is my honor and special pleasure to join you this morning at this very special occasion and to consider with you the journey of the National Assembly so far in our joint and continued effort to build a democracy that meets the needs of our people, that serves our nation's interests both here and at home and on the international stage. I made lifelong friends, celebrated with them and those who celebrated, and I mourned with those who mourned. The rhythms of this institution became the music of my life. On many occasions, I stood in the galley to speak on matters of importance to my constituents as well as on matters critical to the nation. Now, this is my first, perhaps maybe second time back here since I left here 2 years ago. And I find myself filled with nostalgia. However, it is the nature of life. When it passes, we can move forward in the certainty that all that should be done was done. I am truly honored, therefore, to be back here. However, briefly, from all other forms of government, every nation in the world, whether a monarchy, an autocracy, or a military junta, will as a matter of necessity operate an executive and a judiciary. A democratic legislature exists to unite the people with the government by empowering a sovereign parliament to enact laws for the good governance of the nation, to oversee the nation's finances, and to provide an arena for public participation in the policy development process. Consequently, everything that we do in the legislature is about maintaining the connection to the people on whose behalf we serve. When legislators debate a bill or motion in the chambers, we do so not as individuals expressing an opinion, but as representatives and policy outcomes. When we hold public hearings, inviting stakeholders and members of the public into the legislative process, we do so because democratic governance is an open rather than opaque process built on the premise that when we join our hands together and draw on the various experiences and contexts of all different interests and tendencies that make up our country, we arrive at an outcome that are better than they would have been otherwise. We hold sessions for ministers and heads of departments and agencies of government to define how they intend to spend public resources, within the people's representatives rather than in kings, princes, or potentates. The right to levy duties on the structure, providing for the defense of the realm and guaranteeing the security and dignity of all the nation's people. For 26 years since our nation's return to civil rule, we have accomplished this task without a roadmap, while navigating the unique realities of our political and cultural landscape. Before 1999, our last experiment with legislative governance had ended in 1993, and before then, in 1983. As such, there wasn't much of an institutional memory to learn from. The conventions of parliamentary practice and procedure make laws for the good governance of the nation, to control the public purse, and to hold the executive to account. In 1999, those powers and responsibilities fell to men and women, most of whom had spent their last years as subjects in a military regime. Yet, the men and women who started here in 1999, ill-equipped as they were, built about our nation's future, intervening in matters of state to ensure the best outcomes for our people, passing legislation to build a more... Now, there have been moments, thanks to the efforts of the thousands of people who work in these chambers, senators, representatives, aides, consultants, and staff of all kinds. Those moments have not defined the legislature. Instead, there have been opportunities for learning, improvement, and growth through humility. That effort, leadership team that includes some of the most accomplished individuals to ever serve in the federal legislature, bringing their years of knowledge and experience to help navigate our nation's future at a time of transformational events here at home and across the globe. It is a source of frustration that nearly 3 decades later, the vast majority of our nation's representatives who isn't actively engaged in providing education and healthcare facilities, who isn't doing road construction and waste management, while delivering sustained empowerment for commercial activities, is not going to be a legislator for very long. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria did not envisage such a role for the legislator, and it did not make provisions for the legislator to perform in this capacity. Yet, political reality requires the legislature to meet those constituency demands by whatever means. This disconnect between responsibility and resources on the one hand, and the public's expectation on the other hand, is one of the biggest threats to the legislature in our emerging democracy. Here in the legislature, you do not command armies, and you cannot operationally direct the police or law enforcement. When you make laws, you are not involved in their implementation. And when you enact policy, it's already been done to see how well it was done. At every point, you require a public that is willing to give you the support to ensure sustainability. For example, when the executive builds roads, there is a framework for maintenance through the Public Works Department. No legislator can provide that, nor should they be expected to. The dynamic replicates itself in healthcare, education, and other sectors, and the resentment stems from a public that expects these services as a matter of course, but resents how the legislator provides them through the appropriation process. The journalists, citizen advocates, and civil society practitioners who ask legislators why there aren't enough classrooms or primary healthcare facilities in their constituencies, who expect the legislator to provide water sources, build markets and roads, turn around every budget season, and inundate the media with stories of budget insertions, forgetting that the appropriation process is the only instrument available to legislators to meet these expectations of their constituents. As long as the voting public and the influencers in the media demand that legislators provide social services, and as long as the electoral viability of the legislator continues to depend on their ability to provide these services, this paradigm of dysfunction and resentment will persist to the detriment of the core legislative function of the National Assembly. The ongoing efforts by the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to restore a system of robust local government of the national parliament and must be supported by all who have served and continue to serve in this institution. in the ability of local governments. Everything from waste management to the regulation of local commerce, basic education, healthcare, and even community policing and security are local government functions. When local governments have the resources and independence, advocate for the greater good and hold it. If we cannot agree on the place of the local government in our political system, and if we cannot collectively undertake to do what is necessary to ensure that the local government institution has the political and financial independence and the administrative capacity to function optimally, then we must consider alternatives to formalize the additional duties that have now become the responsibility of the legislators. The current system, which forces legislators to spend more time seeking and pursuing resources or resource opportunities to meet constituency needs and expectations rather than developing is untenable in the long term. If we expect legislators to provide social services in their localities, then perhaps it is time for a national conversation to ensure our Constitution reflects this and the necessary resources are made available in a structured and efficient manner, allowing for transparency and accountability. A democracy without a strong legislature and a robust legislative tradition is a promise deferred. For our democracy to survive, for legislature into a sturdy capacity to produce policy and enact quality legislation comparable in any other parliament in the world. The National Assembly Library Trust Fund, capably led by the veteran lawmaker, Honorable Henry Nwabuba, are both critical in this regard and deserve to be supported and sustained. I urge you, members of the National Assembly, proved itself a worthy partner in daring, as the President likes to say. This institution has worked in scrutiny and passage of budget proposals and by providing an arena for thorough consideration of legislative policy proposals before they are enacted framework in the country for the better and for good. I thank you all most sincerely for continuing to be the partners in National Assembly. We'll always hold you in the highest regard and will in every way possible continue to support the legislature to be the best version. It is with it a profound responsibility. We must never lose sight of this. When the Second World War ended in 1945, the Allied powers came together and set the rules of the post-war years. These rules have defined how the nations of the world interact for most of the last century. Today, these rules to act to ensure that our people are not left behind and are nothing. I will continue to be your partner and supporter, working in the best interest of this great nation. I thank you for the honor of addressing you today, and may God bless and keep you all, and God bless the Federal Republic. Thank you.
If I were in your shoes, in summary, that's the success by the immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to the President. I think he deserves yet another louder applause. Thank you very, very much, sir. It is at this point in time, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, himself, an academician par excellence, one who has mentored so very many people, and of course has graduated so very many doctorate degree holders around Nigeria, 2023 to 2025 and counting. Please, a round of applause for him. Can we make the applause for Professor Sami a little bit louder? Thank you so very much. I welcome you, Professor Sami, to the microphone.
The President of the Senate and the public that has been invited for the open week. What I'm going to do is not the presentation of the scorecard of the 10th House as such. I'm going to share what we have been doing in terms of a study that has been commissioned. So I'm speaking on behalf of the team of consultants and experts that anchored the study. And at the point I'm speaking, the full complement of the report is getting ready. The first thing I want to say is that this is a midterm assessment of the 10th house that we were asked to do. And the report that I'm going to present, some of the aspects is actually funded by the UNDP. I'm happy my colleague in the UNDP came out to speak on behalf of the resident rep. So it is this support that UNDP is providing for the 10th house in their parliamentary development program that led to the support they have provided, and I hope that the findings from this study will also bring the kind of roadmap they need to continue to support the House to the very end. And the support they provide to the House actually builds on the successes and lessons learned from previous support in terms of developing parliament. Now, specifically, the terms of reference that guided the study can be identified as 6. The first one is that they are interested, that's UNDP, in assessing the 10th House of Rep in terms of compliance with its own legislative agenda. The second one is to assess citizens-legislators' relationship in line with the demand of open legislature. Third, to determine the level of commitment to key legislation, including constitutional and legal framework of elections. The fourth one is to assess the independence of the legislature vis-a-vis the Executive Assembly in the last 2 years in terms of implementing the legislative agenda. And finally, as I said, this is a study that we undertook. It's not possible to study the activity of the 10th House without defining a clear methodology for doing it. The first thing in terms of that methodology is that we agreed that if you want to do a scientific study of the 10th House, you don't need to talk to legislators alone. You need to talk to external partners. You need to talk to civil society. You need to talk to citizens. You need to talk to women groups. You need to talk to youth. So the design of the study identified different approaches to collecting data. And then in the end, we try to triangulate, the data we collected from different sources so that you can really speak something robust, that can shed light on what is going on. And I would say that we leverage chairmen and members' ability, and we held FGDs, focus group discussions with different people in the National Assembly. We went far in terms of the scientific design of the study. Now, and because I am not interested in doing what one may call a scorecard, I will speak to key issues that we have found at this point in time. But let me just say something about legislature and democratization in Nigeria. I listened to the former speakers of this House, Honorable Dogara, Honorable Femi, and they said a lot in terms of the position of Parliament. The point I just want to make here is that since 1999, we've done well in terms of conducting elections that are regular and access power is through the ballot box. I think this is a major gain, and at the same time, there's a feeling among across the entire spectrum of the political class that democracy is the only game in town. I think that is very useful. But we need to understand that democracy is not just about conducting elections that are free, fair, and regular. democracy, at the end of the day, is about building strong democratic institutions such as parliament, political parties, anti-corruption bodies, because these are bodies that promote transparency and accountability of the state and its institutions to citizens. I also want to mention the fact that, and this has been mentioned, that the parliament is the site of representation. And I think the House of Rep in particular is peculiar. There was a time in this country when people, spent a lot of energy debating between the House and the Senate, which one is lower, which one is upper. And I think this is clearly something that is misunderstood. It is not about hierarchy of legislatures. It's about understanding how each of the houses is made up. We copied the American model of presidential democracy. In the American model, the Senate symbolizes the equality of states, while the House is directly elected by the people. So the dynamics are different. You need a presidential system of government tends to reinforce tendencies of personalization of power, and that it helps people to have memories of kings. The Americans, who had this idea of separation of powers, really wanted to run away from the experience of kings, in Europe. So separation of power is key, and you need a legislature that is up and doing. Well, there's an 8-point agenda that is agreed upon by the House in a very consultative process. I've read the documents, and this is not something they sat there arbitrarily to craft. And I also recognize the support of civic groups, to that process, including PLAC, that has been in the House of Rep as far back as 2007, if my memory is correct. One of the first things we found out in the study we have done is that the House has had an improved legislative capacity. And we have identified how this has happened in terms of capacity building training, in terms of which has supported the legislature as an that improved capacity. And I think we have found evidence in the study we have done in terms of institutional growth and maturity of the 10th House, in terms of the quantum of new legislation they have introduced, in terms of ability to moderate executive proposals and weighing in on behalf of citizens. And we have also seen a legislative house that is in particularly to be able to manage diversity of this country, not only in terms of the number of parties that are in the House, but also being able to address issues around our political fault lines, creating zonal caucuses and building bridges across. I think this is something that you cannot generate already in terms of the quantity of bills that have been introduced as private members' bill as opposed to the executive. And for me, this is the highest so far across all the legislative sessions. And I'm particular about those that have strengthened our federal system, particularly the most contentious one, the tax bill, and the local government autonomy thing that I think will go a long way in terms of strengthening our democracy. We spoke about elections and inclusive governance and the recognition by the House that there are deficits, and the practical steps they have taken in terms of legislative initiatives that we hope can translate into providing amendment to the constitutional and legal framework of elections in this country. There are challenges and there are recommendations. I think I would like to stop here because robust scientific analysis of what the House has been in the last 2 years and what it can become in the next 2 years. Thank you.
That's a brief overview of the House COCA 2023 to those then residents with courage, charisma, and common transformation, but a man who has led the Red Chamber with so much dignity. His Excellency, Distinguished Senator Dr. Gobson Obot Akpabio, GCUN, President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and we all know that from his days as the uncommon President of the Senate, to kindly give his remarks at this occasion. The uncommon President of the Senate, Uko Akwa Ibom. Please, a round of applause for him.
I don't know how to address you on your open week, but I think I'll just say that this is uncommon open week. My brother, the Right Honorable Speaker, Tajudeen Abbas, is here. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, the leader of the House of Representatives, my dear brother, Professor Julius Tember, here. Let me recognize all principal officers of the House through the Minority Leader, Kingsley Chinda, and of course, go ahead to recognize all the right honorable figures who had the privilege of presiding over this August Assembly. My dear sister Patricia, my dear brother, Dogana, that was during my time. And then of course, right honorable, but the Amila, she will start to the president and others who are here in the gallery. Let me also pay tribute to all my colleagues, the honorable members who found time to be here today, and also the ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course, members of the diplomatic corps as represented Nigeria. Bishop Michael Roach. Our development partners, Their Excellencies, members of the political class who found their way here today, sitting patiently. They are coming from the civil society, not necessarily as a former senator of the Senate. Am I right? You are looking at me. Let me recognize the youth corps and students of various schools that I've seen today. And of course, dear ladies and gentlemen of the press, I'm delighted to be here. I was actually sitting in the other room. And I got the message, Senator Shehu actually, they called me by the name of your governor. No wonder you did not acknowledge. I greet you. I'm very happy that you are here. Thank you for always showing interest in what is happening in the National Assembly. Thank you. So let me say that I was in the other room presiding when I got a message from its speaker that it is important, it's time for me to step in here to give my goodwill message. And I said I must drop in, appreciate what you are doing, and thereafter I go back to close the other room. Mr. Speaker, where are we sitting today? We are sitting today because last week you sent a clear message to us that there was need for us to undertake concurrence of most of the bills of the House of Representatives. Bills. It's 6 p.m.
we are going to finish for guys. Just to let you know that we do not joke with you, and the chamber reciprocity. This open week, the open week is a major innovation into parliamentary practices. And I must say that we are very proud. I think that's how it should be. Then after that, we will now consider joining it together and coming together to do it together on a yearly basis. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Senate, the 10th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I'm delighted to say congratulations to you, because this is truly the people's parliament. It is very important for the public to understand what we do here. That way, all the stories and ambiguities will be erased. And I want to thank Dr. Biamila for explaining that if you fail to even do constituency projects, your people may not think that you are performing. Whereas the primary duty of a legislator is to make laws for the good governance of the society. And also to undertake oversight, particularly oversight of the executives, and also follow. You don't only appropriate money, you also follow how the money is spent. You brought back home. In the Senate, for the 2023 elections, we had like 80% new members. So much from you, but they will expect good laws from you. Over the past period, the House of Representatives, you have undertaken about 2,263 bills and about 1,478, representing 65.3%, have passed second reading. The President has also assented to about 55 as of now. But what we have is 51. It's actually, I received 4 more bills. If I let me say 57, because so this is unprecedented for any assembly since 1999. So let me say congratulations to all. And then I believe you will have, in the course of the open week and in the course of interacting with the public, a situation where you have to take the group from the red chambers. When we start, we have sequences. We are other. So once we are through with the announcements, we go into petitions, and additional importance. But sometimes you would have started with business of the day. When you are even on the third business of the day, because the particular distinguished is very new, and I'm not even opened the red book, the person will raise his or her hand and will say, the officer attempts to say no. The public out there will think that they are not allowing their senator to speak. I hope you understand. They will not know it because the senator is out of order. And the senator will not know that he or she is out of order. So sometimes I will say approach, the public will also know that he or she had not read the rules of the floor. I hope you understand my point. If it's proving to know too much, I hope you understand. So for the public, even over there, will stand up. Instead of bringing about additional prayer, you commence the debate afresh. You commence the debate afresh, and you go on and go on and go on. So as a presiding officer, I don't know whether it happens to you. You are now between the devil and the deep blue sea. Otherwise, they will say you have committed executive arrogance by trying to shut down a colleague from speaking. The decisions we take. Read books, go trade on, not ignorance, are based on lack of reading of the rules of the chamber. If you are in the army and you travel out of the country, you are empty, but some members will just travel. We should be able to account for your movements at any point in time. But many of you are ambassador to assist you when you did not even know that you had left the country. So these are some of the issues and some of the things I believe this open week will help us to also have period where we talked to us in 1999. This is the most peaceful. I don't know how Mr. Speaker and the leaders just stood up and slapped Senator Wacha, and then I gave me a very big slap when in a committee meeting, and it was shown live. So people who came to me to complain, I said, no, it shows we have strength. Our women are doing well. But that conduct was unparliamentary. Am I right? So in the next election, the constituents had to punish the person. I don't think the person ever came back to you till today. So there are conducts that are unbecoming, and we must learn to have that decorum so that this chamber will continue to have respect. Then I must say that you have done excellently well. Whatever is left for us to concord in the Senate, we assure you that we are going to devote the next few weeks to clear our table so that we can send more bills to us. So for now, mine is to say congratulations to you and congratulations for the journey so far. Mr. Speaker, let me also say that the kind of relationship I have with you and you have with me is exemplary, is unprecedented, is totally uncommon. Yeah, this is the same because you have always treated me as your brother, and I always treat you as my brother, and I want the same to reflect in the relationship between the two chambers. So I had to rush here to come and pay solidarity and to let you know that we are together in this journey. Mr. President has enjoyed robust support from the National Assembly, not because we are rubber stamp, as some people tend to say, but because we are people who scrutinize and are bent on passing anything that will be for the good of all Nigerians. Recently, I saw a flurry of political activities, and I had to go on air, and I pleaded with them that as much as we open our doors in the APC for people to come in, I don't also want the other side to be empty. But my mother told me that she will pray every day that our enemies, heaven to be empty. I hope you are getting the point. So we in position are very happy to receive those in opposition. But at the same time, please, at the time we must put a stop so that the other side will not be empty. We don't want a one-party system in Nigeria. I hope that message is getting clear. However, Mr. Speaker, if the people in this 10th Assembly decide to speak with one voice and join the political party of their choice, the circumstances are very clear. All others are disarray. So those who are angling to run Nigeria should first begin by putting their political parties in order. There is no need to say I'm a member of ADC, but I still remain a member of Labour Party. You can't belong to two political parties. It's only one party that will contest election. Is that message getting clear? I don't think I can come. I don't think I can come to this open week with the public here. Yes, I can understand. I can't come here with the public here without educating the public. So the public must know that only political parties contest election, not necessarily the individuals. So anybody that tries to deceive you that he or she still belongs to ADA, the political party called ADA, but I'm just attending the child. What is the name of your sister? So I won't tell you the name of Eugenia. I won't mention it. That is a child. Congratulate the president of the foreign exchange, all the way down to the NEL fund, the educational fund that we provided. I heard the former speaker saying that it was passed in the 9th Assembly, but it is not done until it is done. As far as I'm concerned, we should take credit in the 10th Assembly, in this 10th National Assembly for the students' loans, take credit for it. So today, Parliament. And you look at the tax reforms. The last time we reformed any tax on stamp duties was in 1901. 1901. Some of the taxes were mostly pre-colonial era, before 1959. So now we have amalgamated everything, and 4 All those tax reform bills have now been signed. You are making it possible for good governance. And even if you don't call me, don't be surprised when I walk in to come and say congratulations to all of you. May God that brought all of you here take you back safely. Amen. And may you continue to prosper. We will take care of your welfare. Yes. You should look for an Okada rider to carry you through to the place and bring you back. Another person said, when I become president, I'm going to concentrate on agriculture as the main driver of the economy. That is rhetoric. You can't have agriculture without security. If farmers are not able to enter their farms, how will you promote agriculture? But that is what the man said. You will concentrate on agriculture. So some of them will really have, and I must thank even the opposition, my brother Chinda and others. Yes, you moderate our thoughts, but at the end we come into a consensus for the good of Nigeria. May the Parliament, may the 10th Senate, the 10th House of Representatives continue to work together for the benefit of this nation. And may the laws we
Thank you, and thank you very much indeed. Before chamber to join you here, so he won't be here with us for too long. The leader of the House will accompany him to the doorway, and then of course the rest of us seated as we continue with this engagement will continue with the conversations. And that says the President of the Senate and Chamber is very flexible speakers of state legislatures who doubles as a speaker or your state House of Assembly to give us these remarks on behalf of all the other speakers of the 36 state houses of assembly. I'd like us to please welcome with me Right Honorable Adebo Ogun, and 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The People's Speaker of the People's House for the Federal House of Representatives, our own mentor, my own personal mentor as well, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. And Assembly along in all your doings, thank you and God bless you. Also, I will just use this opportunity to just stand on all protocols in order for us not to waste too much time. It is with great honor and with a deep sense of responsibility that I deliver these remarks on behalf of the Conference of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria at this year's National Assembly Open Week. Let me begin by commending the leadership of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, for sustaining this strategic initiative aimed at fostering an open parliament, promoting transparency, and deepening citizen engagement in legislative processes. The Open Week is a laudable platform that reflects the true essence of representative democracy. This time last year, when we came for the Open Week, I promised that we would replicate the same public. As presiding officers of the State Houses of Assembly across 36 states, we are fully identified not only to engage the public, but also to strengthen interlegislative cooperation between the federal and depends significantly on the collective commitment to constitutional reforms that reflect our evolving realities. As a conference, we reaffirm our readiness to work with the evolving realities of National Assembly hearing and the scheduled hearing by the House of Representatives in the coming days. We respectfully urge the National Assembly to sustain the current momentum on the constitutional review process. Doing so will ensure timely conclusion to the important national task, enable any amendments to be implemented well ahead of the next general election, and allow for institutional preparedness and adequate public sensitization. Any loss of this momentum, however, unintended, risks diminishing the impact and the relevance of the reforms. we also in the subnational would encourage the National Assembly to transmit these documents to the state houses of assembly so as to not have any interference with the upcoming election in 2027. So whatever decision we'll make will be outside of the influence. As repeating, that's the health of our foster constructive synergy between federal and state legislatures in pursuit of national development goals. Once again, I thank you. We guarantee you that we will put this relationship to the test when we get the transmission from the National Assembly on the upcoming constitutional review. Let me reaffirm that the Conference of Speakers remain committed to strengthening democratic governance, promoting interparliamentary collaboration, and express our profound and impactful outcomes that will strengthen our democracy and enrich our constitutional order. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Speaker of your State House of Assembly and Chairman Conference of Speakers of Nigerian legislatures at the state level. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Right Honorable Gundoin. Thank you so much. And this happened because this is an open week, and being an open week, the Speaker has told me that it is also flexible, and that was why we had to take his remarks after that of the President of the Senate. So moving on of Representatives, People's House, 10th National Assembly. Please join me in welcoming Honorable Kingsley Chinda. So please can we give it up for the People's House and members of the House of Representatives. Kindly bear with me. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, but when we want to speak with them, we need their presence, we need their attention. Today, we decided to speak with them, and therefore we invited them. I want to appreciate them because if they fail to heed to that invitation, we cannot speak with them. Therefore, we want to thank all of you, our invited guests, all those who have turned up to witness this open week. We are very, very grateful to you. From the students here for honoring us. Let me also specifically thank the Minister, Women Affairs. Let me also thank our dear brother, Senator Shehu Sani. We are grateful. This is your home. Archbishop Michael, we are grateful to you. Come back home. All the former presiding officers of these green chambers that honored us today and that always honor us because it's your home. We are grateful so much. Well, let me thank us from the chairman of the National Assembly in absentia, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and senators that were here present. Rest assured that they will come back. We have witnessed it before, so it is not strange to us. No house will go empty. They will come back home. Let me thank members of the House of Representatives, our masters, our leaders. We are very grateful to you for what you are doing for the country, Nigeria. God will bless you. Finally, let me pray that the Almighty God, as we leave this session, will lead us, give us the wisdom, give us the enablement to continue to serve our country, Nigeria. And as we continue the other session,
Minority Leader of the House of Representatives, with a vote of thanks. Your Excellency, our dear Chief Host and Convener of this program, the remote define it. And such is the story of the man that we are gathered here to celebrate today along with his PhD, GCON, Ian Zazel, the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives, Chief Host and Convener of this remarkable legislature. He has taken since the inception of this 10th House of Representatives from the 13th of June 2023 till date and counting. It goes to show that he is indeed a scholar of service of state from his very first day in office, and he has made it very clear and noble promise to the Nigerian people that the House will bring the House closer to the citizens, which is participation in governance. The House has not only remained focused on national priorities, but also has opened its doors and hearts to the very people it represents. Therefore, this Open Week is his brainchild, a clear reflection of his belief in inclusive governance and democratic deepening. Very distinguished, the People's Speaker.
Thank you, please, Thank you. The President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Fabio GCOL, the principal officers of the House of Representatives, former presiding officers of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ete, Honorable Dogara, and Honorable Raja, honorable members of the House, the clerk, chairman, conference speakers of the State National Assembly, my dear brother, the Speaker of Oyo State Assembly, other speakers present here, I could see Ondo, Ekiti, who mentioned earlier, or at least by implication, that Ekiti has started also this same initiative of Open Week annually. Congratulations. The President and Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, honorable ministers present here, heads of agencies, our royal fathers, ably be represented by His Royal Highness Ambassador Nuhu Bombali, CFR Emir Ozazo, the Apostolic Nuncio to Nigeria, Archbishop Michael F. Crotty, Embassy of the Holy See, members of the diplomatic community, development partners, civil society organizations, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my honor to welcome you all to the opening ceremony of the National Assembly Open Week 2025. I share the applause of our academic legislators. I also acknowledge honorable colleagues, distinguished guests and friends of democracy for joining us. This week's program reflects our commitment to an open parliament that listens and responds to citizens. From Tuesday, July 8th to Thursday, July 10th, we'll host thematic sessions from government, civil society, and development partners. Wednesday features the Special Seat Bill Dialogue on Women's Representation, a forum. Thursday's agenda includes workshop on youth involvement in politics, live media interaction with leadership, and a closing dinner. I invite civil society, academia, the private sector, and the public to attend, share insights, and help strengthen our legislative process. We wish to thank everyone who made this occasion possible, from civil on inclusion and open parliament. We especially acknowledge women who were born to amplify. Today, I will launch the legislative scorecard of the House of Representatives. We recognize that this is a critical moment in our tenure. 2 years ago, Nigerians entrusted us with their aspirations, and since then, we have pursued transparency, inclusion, and accountability in all our actions. In developing our 8-point legislative agenda for 2023 to 2027, we consulted widely with government ministries, civil societies, and development partners. We aligned our priorities with the separation of powers and our oversight functions. Collaborative governance has guided our work. We have maintained a respectful partnership with the executive while asserting the autonomy of the legislature whenever required. I will not repeat the thorough and exemplary presentation given by the lead consultant. Instead, I will concentrate on analyzing our legislative outputs aligned with our legislative agenda. In our first two sessions, this House introduced 2,263 bills. Among these, 1,478, 39 have been referred to standing committees. 5 bills were negatived, reflecting rigorous legislative debate. Members-sponsored bills accounted for 2,204 of the total, with 26 executive bills and 33 emanating from the Senate for concurrence. These figures indicate a steady upward trend since 1999, highlighting an ever-growing legislative capacity and competence. As of 30th June, have been signed into law. These enactments include the tax reform laws comprising the new Board Act. The Electricity Act Amendment 2023 transfers electricity to the concurrent access to higher education. In security and governance, the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons Act creates a center to curb illicit firearms. At the same time, the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act 2023 modernizes our defense production framework. Cybersecurity received a boost through the Cybercrime Prohibition and Protection Amendment Act 2024. 6 regional development commissions were established to drive region-specific growth. To protect livelihood, Police Amendment Act align fiscal policy with economic priorities. And the Judiciary Office Holder Salaries and Allowances, etc. Act 2020 of Nigeria Act modernizes the Apex Bank's mandate. Other statutes include the Nigeria Anti-Doping Act 2025, the Investment and Securities Act 2025, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Act 2025, and several acts that establish new universities and special institutions to broaden educational opportunities. The legislative backlog includes bills awaiting Senate or presidential approval, such as the OPT Act Repeal and Enactment Bill, which modernizes all administration of motions has increased in tandem with our legislative output. Members sponsored 1,100 motions. Into these motions have triggered our motions illustrate our heightened responsiveness. Oversight has been a fundamental more than 300 sites. They align with the expectations of the people. Thanks to strong oversight by the 10th House, we have recovered misappropriation. Truly serves as the People's Tribunal. Through the Committee on Public Petitions, we received 621 petitions from citizens on wrongful terminations, right violation, and other grievances. 24 petitions have been fully treated with report ready. 30 were dismissed for lack of merit. The remaining 567 are at various stages of the hearing and investigation processes. Some have read the floor for debate and recommendations, showing that no plea is too small for this institution, including electoral, judicial, legislative, and inclusive governance. 12 electoral reform bills address the scheduling of all general elections on a single day, establish independent candidacy, and create a dedicated commission for local government elections. Judiciary and judicial independence. A central feature of our inclusive governance proposals is the introduction of constitutionally guaranteed reserved seats for women and regional balance. These seats will be filled through direct elections on separate ballots, with staggered terms to promote continuity and mentorship. 5% of seats will be reserved for persons with disabilities, with candidates nominated by accredited disability advocacy organizations. Assignments as their peers, reinforcing their full integration into legislative work. Historical data underscores the urgency of this reform. At independence in 1960, women occupied less than 9. Women held 3.9% of House seats and 4% of Senate seats. Today, despite constituting half the population, women's representation has barely moved beyond these levels. International experience shows the impact quotas can have. Rwanda and Senegal utilized constitutional provisions to increase female representations from under 5% to over 30% in a single cycle. South Africa's voluntary party quota has delivered steady gains, though its success depends on enforcement. By embedding reserve seats into our constitution, would break the cycle of stagnation. This mechanism will accelerate progress towards gender parity, enrich our legislative debates with diverse perspectives. House will pursue vigorous collaboration with the State House of Assemblies and all stakeholders to ensure that the bill on the reserved seat is passed and become part of our Constitution. Continue to advance security reform with bills for state policy and the devolution of powers over natural fiscal accountability and improved governance frameworks. Citizens' rights feature in 4 human rights bills that align domestic law with international standards. Our efforts to build capacity and engage citizens have been unprecedented. We held national and regional town hall meetings on critical legislations, convenes numerous town halls, including those for women and youths, to gather stakeholder input and invited memoranda from experts and communities. We have, as recently as the last June of this year, conducted citizens' roundtable engagement across the geopolitical zones, during which the leadership of the House interacted with Nigerians on the performance of the 10th House. This program, sponsored by the Ford Foundation through Global Rights, provided opportunity for the leadership of the House to further receive feedback from citizens on the activities of the House. Plaid, CAS, YAGA Africa, and the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, along with numerous others, supported over 70 thematic workshops, legislators, and legislative staff. Through these partnerships, we are also implementing an in-parliament system in this midterm scorecard, recognizing that public trust in government institutions has often been low. Get satisfaction with the legislature. We acknowledge the criticisms raised, ranging from the pace of bill passage to the debt of oversight and have acted on this feedback by streamlining our committee procedures and increasing transparency in hearings. Including these candid assessments demonstrate that the House is not afraid of constructive criticism and is committed to continuous improvements. Executive-legislative cooperation remains essential. We thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his steadfast support of the legislature, for consulting with the National Assembly on key policy matters, and for respecting our input through the legislative process. His willingness to engage with our debates and incorporate our recommendations. We recognize the challenges before us: economic constraints, high turnover rates, and public expectations for immediate improvements. Prioritize critical sectors and ensure that we deliver fully on our legislative agenda, and peer learning initiatives to strengthen the institution. The midterm scorecard for the remaining 2 years. We will intensify our legislative work, bolster oversight, deepen public engagements, and advance reforms that strengthen governance, promote inclusive development, and safeguard our democracy. I urge every Nigerian to see the National Assembly as their parliament. Engage with us, hold us to account, and partner with us to address our shared challenges. Democracy thrives when I would like to extend my gratitude to our guests from the executive branch, civil society, development partners, the media, and the public for their support. I extend a special note of gratitude to all former presiding officers who have honored us with their presence today. Your attendance embodies the continuity of our new assembly built on foundation led by its predecessors. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I finally would like to conclude by extending my heartfelt thanks to every individual and organization whose contributions and goodwill messages cautions and reaffirm our shared commitment to a transparent, responsive, and inclusive legislature.
For the speaker, and louder is seated. The hallowed chambers of the People's House. But the conversation continues just next door at the National Assembly Library, where the House of Representatives Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria has curated an enlightening exhibition on national malaria elimination. And also taking place there is a high-level interactive session on nutrition and food security, themed Strengthening Multi-Sectoral Synergy in Nutrition and Food, and the Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria as a special guest. We have sanction on behalf of the Chairman of the committees, Honorable Amobioga, who chairs HIV, AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria Committee of the House, and his counterpart, Right Honorable John Okafor, who will be presiding over these interactive sessions and expositions. And so in the light of that, we please welcome all of you to the National Assembly Library, where we continue this open week in purpose and partnership. Because this segment is coming to an end, there will be a group photograph just at the foyer of the office of the Speaker, very close to the chamber there, with the creme de la creme of citizens and members of the House of Representatives, after which we'll all